Now we're going to be talking about business, and in recent times there have been scandals within government. There have been lots of conspiracy theories. We have the likes of the Jita products still looming all over us, and there seems to be a general frustration when it comes to youth unemployment and where we're actually going in regards to development of small and medium-sized businesses within Ghana. Now, one thing that comes up whenever we have an idea is, how do we start it? How do we implement it? How do we find the money? So this morning with me in the studio we have Mr. John Ama. He's the CEO of GCEEI, which is the Ghana Center for Entrepreneurship, Employment and Innovation. We also have Stephen Jesse Quell, who's the Executive Director of the Youth Enhancement International, and Ulrika Davis, Startup Entrepreneur. Good morning to all of you.
Good morning.
Welcome to New Day.
Good morning.
So my intro, how did you like it?
It was good.
It was good. Did I hit the nail on the head?
Absolutely. Started from, even starting to get some funding, which is perfect.
Yeah. I think there's a general frustration at the moment, and I see it every day because a lot of people even approach me and ask for help. I mean, how do we do this? How do we do that? And even if there are people who have the ideas, how do they implement them? So let's start off with you. Where do we go? What's the first step? If you have an idea and you want to implement it, you want to find some capital in order to take this idea from conception into implementation, what do you do?
Okay, first of all, thank you very much. And like you said, in the wake of this global unemployment, really the way forward is entrepreneurship. And the challenge we face now is about how you start an idea, even getting that idea and how to even implement it and even get funding for it. If you want to start a business and you have an idea, first of all, you've got to examine your environment. Once you examine the environment typically defines the idea that you have, right, and gives you a picture of where you want to go, the challenge that you've seen, and the solution that you're provided. From there, you've got to structure the idea properly. You've got to structure it in terms of getting a business plan and getting advice on it, counsel, because you can have about 10 ideas. Probably one is what you need to break through.
Yes.
So you really need guidance on what this is about, whether or not it fits with your passion. Then from there, you've got to strategize in terms of how to implement this idea. How do I go about it? Which market am I looking at? And all these things will be defined in your business plan when you structure the idea. Okay. The other part of it is about creating an organization out of it, which is what you want to do, which is a business. And so that is where you really got to look at, how do I create revenue? How do I drive sales? What is my motivation? Sustainable business. And scaling up. Again, it's about your motivation. Is it about making profit? Is it about driving sales? Is it about impact? What do you define as motivation for you in this business?
Right.
And so that is where you look at, okay, how do I make money? And so making money means creating a product.
Yeah, indeed. Okay, now let me ask you, Stephen. I mean, even like we've established, the fact that you have to look at certain angles of it, but is there any clear-cut way? Is there any straightforward access to funds that anybody can find and just say, this is the place I need to go to if I want to start up a business?
Yeah, I would say, when we talk about startup ecosystem in an environment like Ghana, for instance, every startup is a very high risk to any financial institution because, you're in early stages, they want to know, you have not actually validated the idea, you have no proven track record. And in an environment like this, we don't have much products that solve those problems, for instance. Our banks don't even want to give a lot of loans to startups because sometimes the startups even don't meet the requirement of what the banks are requiring for them to give them capital to start. In Ghana, what I know, I think the venture capital is also there, and that one is hugely their target market for investing into companies, not early stage companies. Recently, they created what they call the Angel Investor Network that brings together high wealth individuals who really want to invest into early stage startups, for equity. Not only about just giving money to people. What my experience in working with startups in Ghana, what I've realized is that startups only about the money. A startup will come and tell you, I need $100,000 to start a business. You give them the $100,000 or ask them, what do you want to use the $100,000 to do? They can't tell you.
Yeah.
So it's about the capital. You need a helping hand, to help you, guide you to make sure you go onto market.
Yeah.
So if we want to build the right ecosystem in Ghana, in driving economic growth and job creation, we have to build an enable environment that will help the startups succeed. Because, it's the startups are the people that create the job.
Yeah.
I believe that big companies don't create jobs. The situation we are in right now, we need to get people to start new firms. If they start new firms, they're the same people that could employ people, 1 or 2 people, and then they can scale up before they become big as the huge companies to automate
Yep.
to systems, we'll be able to take more on people. So to us to take that out, we have to really build an enabling environment for to drive startups over here.
Let me come to you, Eureka. Now, you're a young entrepreneur already, aren't you?
Yes.
What is it that you do?
Well, I'm into food.
Food. Okay.
Yeah, restaurants.
Restaurant.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you're more or less a success story already.
Yeah.
So let's just ask you, I mean, how did you find how was your experience in having the idea to where you are now? Was it a tough transition? I mean, did you get the help that you needed? Were there obstacles?
Actually, there was this one day I was thinking, I was like, okay, I want to go into food, restaurants, but I don't have the money. So how do I do it? And John organized a program for startup, how to get funding for startups. So I was like, hey, let me try and see if it will work. I got there. I saw many people, they were talking about helping you getting money, but is it easy? So I approached one of the big people that came, and I was like, okay, this is what I want to do. I want to go into food, restaurant, so can you help me? She gave me her card, went to her office. She asked me, I need to see your business plan
Right.
to see if you are really serious
Yes.
and you are ready for what you want to do and you have the motivation for what you want to do. I was like, yes, okay, go and list this. I go, list, come back, go and come, do this to show that, yes, I'm really serious. And it's been like 3 months and now I'm into it. 2 weeks now. I've
Yeah.
started my restaurant.
Well done. Congratulations. See, that's a success story for
Yeah.
you right there. Now, we've established the fact that obviously there are certain issues in regards to seeking help from government.
Yeah.
In the president in his State of
The Nation address.
State of the Nation address, he said he was going to create a youth enterprise fund. I think of about 10
Yeah.
billion or 10 million,
Yeah, 10 million.
Ghana cities.
Yeah.
We can't always wait for government help.
That's
can
true.
we? I mean, John, obviously you started, having these forums where young people like Eureka can come forward and get ideas like this. So, what is the help that, I mean, besides this potential fund that could come, what other help do we require from government right now, which maybe we can use this platform to actually appeal to them for?
Okay. Well, let's establish something. Like Stephen said, you've got to create an enabling environment. I can tell you for a fact that since Ghana started creating development plans, GSGDA, GPRS1, GPRS2, Vision 2020, we've had components of it dealing with creating an enabling environment, even for startups. Again, these are components that have been there. As to whether they are implemented or not, that's another challenge. So far, we've come a long way. Government has established the Venture Capital Trust Fund, which is one,
Yep.
the Ghana Private Sector Development Facility, which is another one, the Rural Enterprises Project, which is another one, sponsored by IFAD, and a number of others. You can raise questions about GIDA and its corresponding challenges and all that. But now, there seems to be a shift in focus in terms of focusing more on startups. Like you said, funding is a challenge. There are reports that suggest that about 8% of bank credit goes to SMEs, as compared to about 25% in Tanzania, 26% in Kenya. That's worrying.
Yeah.
If you look at Ghana. And again, if you want me to go further, that 8% only represents about 1 billion Ghana cedi. That's something small as well.
Yeah.
If you look at the potential of the informal sector. So now government is saying that, look, let's look at the startups generally and create a fund for them. Because like he said, the VCTF is a latter stage funding for people who have proven their model, who have validated the model. So this 10 million fund is going to help startups, and it's called the Youth Jobs and Enterprise Development Fund. We've seen it, we've heard it, we think it's okay, but we've got to interrogate it. So it's not another GIDA, it's not another, that kind of thing. So we're having a stakeholder forum on Wednesday, next week Wednesday, at the New World Bank office at Rich, just by the College of Physicians, from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m.
Right.
And we're sitting down with the consultants of this fund. We really want to talk to them and look at it. What is the idea of the political mandate or oversight? How is it going to be like? What's the structure of the fund itself? Does it mean that we'll have one person being a fund manager, or we'll have different firms coming together as fund managers? EDC, Databank, all these people as fund managers. Again, we want to look at how will I benefit as a startup? The definition of a startup itself is something that we need to address,
Yes.
again, in this country.
Yeah.
We also need to look at the kind of things they are looking for. Is it every sector driven? Is it that you can come from technology, agriculture and others, and still benefit from the fund? That's what we need, a broader stakeholder.
A lot more information.
Lot more.
is
So we're
required.
inviting every young person to come next week Wednesday, and let's make this work, because this is the first time we can sit down and help structure a fund.
Yeah.
In the past, hitherto, they were creating
It
it
was
themselves.
already done. Yeah, that's true. I mean, and the one thing that one of our guests actually said today, that there seems to be a generation that's overlooked.
Yeah.
There's a lot of debt being taken onto the country at this very moment to cover some of the debt that we already have. And the thing is that the people who are actually going to do these deals won't be around when we're still paying these things off. It'll be us, our kids, and all the rest of it.
Yeah.
So these are things that we need to be doing from now, raising the awareness, letting people know that they can actually get in the ground and establish and sort of go on.
Yes.
Stephen, let me ask you, I mean, in regards to, because maybe the older people are not looking at this, startups in regards to revenue generation, how can that affect the economy, for instance?
I mean, as I said earlier on, it's been proven. Some of the works we do, we run Global Entrepreneurship Week, worldwide, and basically the foundation that pioneers this initiative, the Kauffman Foundation, did some research during the economic crisis in the U.S. and they found out that during that time, firms that were less than 5 years old were the firms that were creating the jobs that was bringing America's economy back. Okay, so currently, if you could realize, there's a whole stack of political leadership and will of governments around the world that are focusing on driving economic growth through venture formation through startup. Recently, I think just about last week, Malaysia did, President Obama was supposed to speak, he couldn't make it. He launched Startup America Partnership. The British government also launched Startup Britain, just to kind of get people, hey, for us to achieve success of economic growth, we got to get our people on the ground to start businesses. But before all those countries came up with those ideas, as I said, they make sure that they were going to create the right enabling environment. If you inspire somebody to go out there to create a venture, you need to make sure you, as you say, access to capital, access to mentoring, access to market, even policies. How can like a new firm go and bid with an existing company to get a contract from a ministry or something of that sort? People don't even understand the bidding processes and stuff of this sort.
Right.
These are things that we have to show our startups. And I believe, building an entrepreneurial economy, it doesn't take alone about government. We have to look at our education system.
Yes.
How are we putting enterprise education in our school? We don't have to wait for people to get to universities and they learn about business. If you ask somebody even about return of our investment, they don't even understand.
Yep.
But if we get from the primary school, the early stage, put in the mindset, you don't have to be an entrepreneur just to create business.
Yes.
My belief, if you have that entrepreneurial spirit, even you're working at TV3, you have that, you can drive innovation in TV3. So that is the kind of things we have to do as a country.
Yeah.
Mindset change the culture, the way we think. Most of our peers, let's finish school, look for job.
Yeah.
The jobs are not there for us.
Yep.
My motto is that if you want a job, invent it. You have to create one.
All right.
And that's what we can all do.
I'm just
to
going to
try
come over
help.
to you again, Erika. Now, you said how you went to the forum that was set up. You spoke to somebody. What advice would you give to somebody who is like yourself right now, who has an idea and doesn't know quite where to go?
Oh, my advice to that person is, if you have an idea, you need to talk to somebody who can lead you to your success, who can mentor you, who can show you, yes, this is what to do this, do that, and you will get there.
So you shouldn't necessarily go to somebody who just says, I've got money, I can help.
No.
I like the way you all do
It's not all about money,
I like the way you all do say. No, because that's where people start. I mean, we're talking about the youth here. We're talking about people who want to do startups. If they're sitting down and they're like, yeah, Charlie, I get this idea, but I no get money. And this the one-stop shop or the one obstacle which I believe is stopping people from actually being innovative, because they sit down and say, all right, yeah, if I have this amount, I can do this. Maybe if you think outside the box ever so slightly, or even talk to somebody, you might be able to go into a different route.
Good.
Am I right?
Let me show you a quick story. Recently, last year, we did Global Entrepreneurship Week, Startup Weekend came. A company came from Ghana, competed in the world with China, all the countries around the world. The Ghana company won, became the top validated company that had got potential to grow. I went with them to Brazil this year, and whilst one of the speakers was speaking, this is a top government official from the US, was looking at idea doesn't matter where it's coming from. You know, the way they look at what Dropping has come up with from Ghana to solve a global business problem. Right after the meeting, an investor came and said, listen, what can we do for them? He provided the right investment for them.
Right.
Now, these guys have gone to Silicon Valley, all right now, been able to network, get the support to see how better they can scale their business and things. So to me, as we said, it's not about all the money.
Yeah.
You know, let's connect the startups to the right resources, the mentoring.
Yeah.
You know, we have successful entrepreneurs over here.
Yeah.
You know, even if a day we're getting some of them spending an hour or something, this advising, it shouldn't be face to face.
Yeah.
Even over the phone, technology is now here, Skype,
Blogs.
blogs.
Yeah.
I mean, sharing your experience, you know, with startups. And I think through that we can all learn and pick up something out from it. And I have to say, I keep on saying, government alone, every time we are bashing government, create jobs. They cannot, no
Do
governments in the
something for
world can
yourself,
create
right?
jobs and stuff. That's
All
all
right.
we want.
I'm going to come to you in just a second so that we can talk about the event one more time and, you know, raise awareness about that. But I'll come back to you because you said you're running a restaurant right now.
Yeah.
My co-hosts love food. Oh, yes, they do. From all three of them, they love food.
Okay.
So how well is your business doing?
It's doing well.
Yeah?
Because I'm behind the small Alisa Hotel, not Reach.
Okay.
And what I did was my price is down,
Right.
so that I can get more people
Compete.
And
Yeah.
so far so good,
It's doing well?
very well.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So how many customers do you think you're churning out daily?
Daily 20, 25. I'm in the second week.
25
Yeah.
customers. This is your second week.
Yeah.
So
That's great.
good. That's wonderful.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Now that we know where it is, obviously we'll be attending and coming to eat there
Okay.
ourselves.
And I
as well.
have an event place there.
The food is good.
Good.
What type of food?
I have banku, fufu, jollof rice, plain rice,
You had me at
and fish.
fufu.
Everything.
All right, Johnson,
Yes.
tell us more about this
Thank you.
event that's happening.
First of all, let me say that indeed, in as much as we focus on high-end startups, we also go to look at, you know, developing the base itself, which
Yeah.
is people in the rural areas, those amazing ideas that are looking for support as well.
Yeah.
That's why people like my firm, my firm comes in and we offer advice to whoever within which category. We want to see what idea you have and how best we can help you scale up. Like Eureka herself, this is someone who came and wanted to start a restaurant. We didn't even talk for long. She had a meeting
Yeah.
in my office after she's a deal. And if I tell you the person who's investing in her, you'd be amazed as well. She met at that event and things are happening for her.
Wow.
Second week. Tell you what, yesterday I was in around her area and I passed by. The idea was to go in and see what she was doing. So unaware.
Secret shopper.
Secret, so that I can from my point, look at it and assess the business and see, okay, she's at a great location, but how she drive sales? How does she get
Yeah.
customers in?
Yeah.
Does she have to distribute some leaflets to the offices around and all that? And unfortunately, she saw me and called me in the evening and said, John, I saw you. But
busted.
going forward, so again, we've got to look at the rural area. That's why this
Yeah.
fund, I think it's good. For me, I've assessed it, I think it's okay. And so we're having a workshop on the 23rd of October, the new World Bank office from
Yeah.
9 a.m. to 12 p.m. It's free, open to everybody. And what we want to do is to sit down and really assess this fund and offer our views. They said the time is now or never for young people to contribute to developing our system, our ecosystem. And in fact, there's so many people in Ghana reviewing our ecosystem now. Things are happening.
Yep.
And this is the time. You're looking for funds, this is where to find it. And again, speaking on the lack of capital, I think for any business, if you look at capital as an issue, then it shows the lack of innovation that you have in that organization.
Yeah.
Because the thing is, if you're innovative enough, you create products that bring in revenue.
Yes.
You get what I'm trying to say? If you don't have a product, then you don't make revenue.
Yeah.
You don't make sales.
Yeah.
You don't make profit. You don't make an impact.
If you have to convince too many people,
Two
then-
people. And so that's the problem we're in right now, generally in Ghana. People have ideas, but don't know how to create products out of it. And that's
Right.
the challenge.
Okay.
And so we've got to look at that. Of course, there are two ways I look at funding for startups. There are those that are cost effective, those that are capital intensive.
Right.
The capital intensive, there are people who have a technology and innovation that requires some capital
Nurture,
intensive.
yep. Refining,
kickstart.
nurturing.
To kickstart,
Yep.
to kickstart them. There are others who really, by looking at the idea, you can tell they need certain small things, probably a website to drive this.
Yep.
And so that's a challenge. Like he said, like Steven said, there are others who require mentoring. And so we need to have that mentoring process well defined as well, which is a component of this fund as well. Aside that, like he said, entrepreneurial education is key. I have clients, Africa Innovation Academy, and all these startups are coming about innovative things
Yeah.
to do for startups. So going forward, we are addressing the issue of financing for young people. We're addressing the issue of ideas and scaling them, mentoring them as well. And hopefully, in some few years to come, tell you what, everybody will be in Ghana.
Nice one. Well, thank you ever so much. Oh, sorry, I'm actually running out of
That's
time.
cool.
All right. So, gentlemen and lady, we've got Stephen, John, and Ulrika. Thank you ever so much for joining us this morning, and congratulations. We'll be coming to eat from you very soon. Don't worry. All right. So that was more information about startups, and yes, I do like food too. Some people are probably asking themselves, "It's Friday, go away." Anyway.